Okay. Cute little scene there. Went down maybe longer than I necessarily had to. Wouldn't have minded hearing only one verse. I'd sleep with any of you guys if you were talking apocalypses, says J-Bomb. Would be cool if we could use guitar as a melee weapon, huh? That would be cool. Yeah, I actually don't know I can practice. Oh no, I'm scared. I want to see what happens if I do this, but I'm kind of scared. Fine, I'll do it. Just like fucking hate missing out on content. I don't think I'm gonna be able to fucking do this shit again. Oh, I can play it myself? I can, oh, that's kind of cool, except that again, the fucking touchpad doesn't work. I'm pretty sure, I'd be very impressed if I saw somebody do this part and actually, like, competently play on that stupid guitar. I feel like it just ends up sounding awful because of the way the touchpad works. It was understandable for Abby to kill Joel. Ellie should just move on. He did terrible things. But what about the terrible things Abby's loved ones did? It was totally understandable for Abby to kill Joel. Ellie should just move on. He did terrible things. But what about the terrible things Abby's loved ones did? So you're saying, I guess what you were saying is that people criticize the game's plot because they don't like that
there's anything else
Ellie... I guess probably jump from here, huh? I don't know. I'm not sure what point she was trying to make. What's up, N Cruz? People make songs, Tyler, for real in this game? Welcome aboard, dude. Hopefully your stream went okay. We're playing The Last of Us Part 2 again. I am really enjoying tonight's sitting. It is a little slow-paced, but you guys are here for that, right? Literally, you guys are here to keep me company, and it's been a pleasure talking to you guys about this and that, and ranting about game criticism and game design. And I really enjoy the fact that I'm really, you know, playing the game finally, not watching a whole bunch of cutscenes. Hey, what's up, Nathan? That's, oh, wow, look at this. Another day in paradise, huh? I've got...
That's pretty good.
2 tickets to paradise. Think I love this game? You think so, Nathan? I might, dog. What the hell? Yeah, take a fucking note here. I am enjoying this part of the game. As I understand it, you know, this is not going to go on much longer. This is not like the way the game actually is going to be. It's just this chapter is open world. But it's fun to explore. I'm enjoying that part.
This down.
I'm part of the Last of Us Truths team, Robib. And he goes, nah, dude, you already are, man. You're loving it. On some McDonald's shit. Don't deny it, Vencabot. I'm saying the idea that Ellie is worse than Abby in this game is nonsensical. Okay. Well, again, I haven't got that far in the story yet, so I couldn't say if I agree or disagree. Hey, shotgun ammo, nice. Fedra scanner, huh?
Haven't seen one of these in a
It even has a fucking Fedra, you know, like, embossed logo on it. So it must have been from an organization that existed before the apocalypse, huh? Think I love this game, J-Bomb? I highly doubt it. In Big Nasty's words, I highly doubt it. Place the tip of the device against exposed skin. Push the device firmly until it clicks. Hold in place for 3 seconds. Huh? Observe readings to see if they're infected or not, I think. Yeah, this game, my first sitting with the game was pretty bad. I really hated it. This is my second sitting with the game. I'm really enjoying it because I enjoy the open world aspect of it. And as I understand it, it's not going to be like this forever. Maybe not even for long. But right now, I'm enjoying it. I watched that guy on the sticks the other day. Fleecing absurd, huh? Absurd.
Like over here.
Yeah, Caesar is godlike. Plus, he's a fucking pleasure to watch. He has so much fun when he plays. He's the opposite of me. Oh, there's a crafting bench. I can upgrade my... I forgot there was even a mechanic in this game. So yeah, so all this, like, screws I'm finding, they're just a linear currency for upgrading my guns. They're like skill points for guns. They're not related to my actual crafting of my other stuff at all. It's not like certain things require screws, or do they? I mean, I guess, no, the bombs don't even require screws, right? It's just these things. So I can customize my, I mean, let's be real. I'm going to use the handgun the most. I also have a shotgun now, too, though. I like shotguns. Kind of give it higher capacity. Pump shotgun, fire rate. That's pretty important. Stability, not that important. Capacity, yes. Give me this. Excellent. His hand is almost literally blurring. You guys are an absolute treat to watch on the sticks, says J-Bomb. But can you slather gun lube on the weapons like Tomb Raider? That's what you can do in the last game, J-Bomb? I don't remember that. Okay, so now I want fire rate. It costs 40, I've got 59. Let's do it. Better fire rate, more capacity. I'm ass at shooting games, guys, so I typically tend to lean on shotguns pretty heavily. They're definitely, like, you know, some of the less aiming you have to do is better. Okay. Moving on. So I don't have a lot of ammo, which is fine. Without that many enemies, to be honest. All the guns had extra lube power-up. Made me chuckle because I'm basically 5. Huh? Extra lube power-up. Lube them up. I don't remember that. I don't remember a lot about that game, to be honest, J-Bomb. Those games were pretty forgettable. I think I remember Uncharted a lot more, and I remember, you know, being critical of them in that respect. So guys, you guys are new here. We did a whole series playthrough of Uncharted. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, and Lost Legacy all back-to-back. All first playthroughs, except for Uncharted 1. And I was surprised how, as someone that played Uncharted 1 and swore off the series because it was so fucking bad, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed Uncharted, pretty much everyone after that, right? They have their flaws and their strengths. Overall, I found it to be an enjoyable experience. Even at their best, unfortunately, they didn't really, like, you know, like blip on my radar for, like, you know, recommendations. That being said, we played Tomb Raider after that. Tomb Raider 1 and 2, right? We didn't ever play 3? Come to think of it. They run better dirty, says Tyler. Is that true? I think we skipped 3. Did we not play 3 on stream? Anyway, it doesn't really matter, I guess. We put Tomb Raider, and those games were sort of like Uncharted, but ironically, with even less imagination. I kind of ended up liking Uncharted more in the end. Even though I felt like Lara Croft had better platforming, but it just sort of lacked in the other respects that Uncharted had in terms of, you know, the like action. It really was just like a third-person shooter with good jumping, whereas Uncharted really had that feeling of like going between hand-to-hand combat and shooting and swinging and stealthing, and all these things kind of work together really well, whereas in Tomb Raider they sort of were kind of like an awkward marriage, even if the jumping was much better. I think this game is actually okay, personally. Seeing it touted as a masterpiece was grinding my gears. I don't think it's awful either. Well, it seems to me, as someone that was not involved in the discourse, this game was very mixed in its reviews. In fact, I've never heard anyone tell me this game is really amazing or, you know, like a masterpiece. I've mostly heard much louder voices telling me how bad it is. That's why I went into it expecting people to, you know, that people were going to hate it. And, you know, as I understood it, from my perspective, it seems this game is much maligned. It's a game that people really had reasons to dislike, some of which were almost certainly, you know, let's say, critically well thought out. And other times, it seems like perhaps it was motivated at least partially by people's insecurity with some of the themes. That being said, yeah, I'm still developing my opinion of it. But, yeah, I've never really heard people that were being that sympathetic toward it, to be honest. The first game was, you know, lauded, you know, for its being so stellar. I played it and found it to be kind of unlovable. It's one of those games that, yeah, I always say to each their own. Everybody has their own opinions and blah, 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 blah. But I do kind of feel like the first game for me, it's very hard. I think that a lot of people that really love that game, you know, I think of them being perhaps maybe less experienced. You know, like there's some games that I love personally that people tell me that, you know, if I only played this game first or that game first, I wouldn't like it as much because I would be more, I would demand better, I guess. But, yeah, I've never heard people being very forgiving toward this game. Tomb Raider didn't have Nathan Flake, so it was better, huh? Yeah, I kind of liked the characterization of Lara Croft more than Nathan Drake, but not by much. My 7.62 by 39 AR only runs dirty, and my Jericho also. Huh? So you're a fucking gun guy, Tyler. I don't know the first thing about guns. I like it, says Zen Cruz. I like it. Did you like it? Pulled their gun out for some reason. You've been in a bubble somehow, says Steve Jones, huh? Yeah, I was not aware this game had any really positive reviews. I've heard that at best, you know, people that were mixed on it, and I've heard a lot of people say this game is, you know, doo-doo butt cheeks. But Nathan likes it. I'm liking it right now. Uncharted never added a silly cigar minigame, huh? They could have, too, which is the sad part. So here's a coffee shop. Oh, I've already been here. Okay, I'm getting a sense of where I am then. Kind of lost. Okay. I wanted a smoking gameplay Uncharted was building up to the entire series. I was talking to my brother about this, right, guys? About today, before the stream. I would buy and look forward to an Uncharted 5. And that's probably the highest praise I can give that series. Right? Uncharted Lost Legacy, man, it was so close to being an amazing game. Because in that chapter that was open world in that game, it was truly amazing. It was truly amazing. You know, the combat, the exploration, the puzzle solving, it all came together so goddamn well in a way that I've never seen in any other game before. And they decided to do it for only one chapter. What the fuck? That was so fucking good. But then it was right back to, you know, safety, the safety of the franchise. Let's fucking not push it too hard. Let's just go back to what we know works. And just keep it linear and, you know, overladen with cutscenes and dialogue and walkie-talkie and keep it simple for, you know, the casuals. Hey.
Where are you going?
I don't know where I'm going. Well said, Ellie. Well said. Where are you going? Fuck, I don't know. I'm exploring, man. I'm exploring. Oh. What's up, Kits Mode? How is it going, man? So far, so good. I'm having a great stream today. I am enjoying this game a lot right now. Use gate code. Which gate code? Kit says, I'm a casual. Nothing wrong being a casual. Oh, the ticks. The ticking sounds. Should have found a list of codes. I did find a list, Chief Jones, but it has a bunch of codes on it. It says use gate code. There's hella gates. GG, Tyler. GG.
That was some good scavenging.
I'm not sure what gate they meant.
Clean this place out.
Hey, trading card 2. Let me tell you guys a story I like to tell on stream, right? Because I talk a lot about, you know, game design and game criticism here. I'm very critical of games I play. And that oftentimes means that I'm in disagreement with my chat, which is kind of a drag. Of course, everybody likes what they like, and they have their reasons. But here's something I think about a lot, about games criticism. When I played Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 on PS3, it blew my mind. It's still, you know, for that reason, that experience that I had with that game, one of my all-time favorites, it was just, it was a revelation for me. Even though the gameplay was kind of ass, the actual, like, combat, the leveling up, all that shit was kind of ass. But the exploration, the immersion, the storytelling, all that stuff shocked me with how amazing it was. And then I played Skyrim and thought, this game is not as good. Right? But then something happened. I talked to some guys that played Morrowind, and they were like, dude, Morrowind is way better than Oblivion. It's so much better than Oblivion. And then I talked to guys that played Skyrim, and they're like, dude, Skyrim was amazing. I'm like, Skyrim was fucking ass. What are we talking about? Well, they didn't play Oblivion necessarily. Right? And it struck me that your willingness to forgive. Oh my God! Oh my God! The fucking graffiti is floating above the wall. We saw that shit in Ocarina of Time, dog. Ocarina of Time, dog. What a throwback. That's so sick. Oh my god. Anyway, guys, my point is that it's fair for anybody to like what they like. You can love what you love, like what you like, and by all means, guys, if you guys love something, don't let some fucking spoil sport on Twitch tell you shouldn't like it because, oh, man, this game is ass, oh, I'm Vencabot, oh, this is not as good as I wish it was, oh, blah, 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 this shit's so stupid to me, right? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't like it. I'm just coming from a different perspective than you guys are. And it could just be that, the things that have spoken to you the most in your life thematically are different from me. There are those that say that, for them, Uncharted was a really, that The Last of Us is really, meaningful to them because it had those themes of parenthood that really spoke to them. Either because in their life growing up, they didn't have a sort of father figure like that, or maybe because they were a father themselves. And, they felt like that relationship between Ellie and Joel really spoke to them. It didn't work for me. I wasn't, maybe because I'm not like a dad or anything. But my point is that, I could go out there and tell people Oblivion's best game, in that entire franchise. Because I played that one first, right? And people that played Morrowind first, to them, that's by far the best in that franchise. And if I had played Morrowind first, I might not have liked Oblivion as much. Not because it would have been any worse of a game than it was, but because my experiences would have been different. I would have expected more. I would have wanted more at that point. So I think that when we talk about like casuals, right? Like casual gamers, and this guy, he might have loved, Uncharted, it's to him it's an amazing game, but Uncharted and all of these console selling games, all these games that are like first party titles, like The Last of Us, like Uncharted, like Super Mario, like Halo. All these games are games that for a lot of people might have been a very early gaming experience for them, right? I mean, maybe it's, part of the legacy that, Uncharted and The Last of Us have is that by their very nature of being more cinematic, of being more like movies in some ways than they are like games, maybe that makes them more inviting for people that might not be that experienced with video games. Maybe it makes them more, a more natural transition. Maybe it makes it a more, easy to understand experience when the game is more like a movie, because they know what a movie's all about. They know how movies work. But, I guess I'm coming from my own perspective. I heard an oh yes. Thank you for the bits, Kid Mode. Halo is trash. Tell me how you really feel. I never played Halo myself. I couldn't tell you. Oblivion is trash, the Kid Mode. Morrowind for life. Gotta appreciate Easter eggs that Dev put in like that. Like the fucking floating graffiti. That shit blew me away, dude. I'm sorry, Encruzy. I'm not your dad, unfortunately. I could be, though. I could be. Maybe one day. I'm very critical about stories because of Metal Gear Solid issues. You grew up playing Metal Gear Solid and you always want games to be like that good of a story. What do you guys think about the people that say that Metal Gear Solid has a dumb story? I love Metal Gear Solid, guys. And for me as a kid especially, the story was a huge part of that. I think that it's very fair. No, I can't do it, dude. I can't fucking say it. I can't fucking say it. It's fair to say that Metal Gear Solid is a dumb story, okay? I feel like so many people that get on this fucking meme about Metal Gear Solid having a bad story, they haven't played the fucking games. Because, yes, the stories are kind of dumb, but the games are well aware of that. They're very tongue-in-cheek games, right? It's that mixture of the hyper-serious yet somehow silly story and the hyper-serious yet silly gameplay that's such a huge part of the franchise's charm. Right? Like, yes, the stories are very convoluted, and they're very, heavy, and they're very over the top. And in that respect, they're oftentimes, they go way overboard. But the whole game is about being overboard. Even right down to the fucking, the little jokes and the mechanics and all these things are, it's very fun that way. They don't take themselves too seriously. Can I open this up? Damn. I would have been your daddy, but a dog beat him over the fence. Damn, J-Bomb. I prefer the cinematic games over as an older gamer, says Kit Mode, huh? I don't have 100 hours put into an RPG anymore. Yeah, it's another part of it, dude, right? Like, I'm talking about perspectives as gamers. Now, every gamer wants something different, right? I can totally see how, I've heard that from before Kit Mode, and people that, from other people on the stream. People saying that, like, as an older, more experienced gamer, they would honestly, in some cases, rather have a game that is more casual because they're fucking tired. They're not like they were when they were fucking in high school. They don't have fucking all summer vacation to play a game. They're getting out of work. They're exhausted. They want to play games, less, it has less impact in terms of the actual gameplay experience. Maybe sit back, watch some more cutscenes, chill, have a story told to them, then have some some laid back, fun gameplay in between. Oh, that's the wrong button. X button. Kim was I'm 34. I'm 34 as well, dude. But I have a different kind of lifestyle though. MGS 1 through 3 in a vacuum. Love them, Stevie Jones. Yeah, I'm the same way, Stevie Jones. You know me, dude. I really fucking hated 4. It did some things right, but it did mostly everything wrong. So as far as I remember, it's been a long time now. But I also kind of liked 5, but 5 was also imperfect. Right? I think 1, 2, and 3 are in their own ways super perfect. Like that one guy with his name. Cell, right? I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of wandering and talking right now. I'm kind of getting lost. 1 through 3 are, really, really perfect games, especially 3. I have some issues with 2, but I think it's just because it hasn't really necessarily aged that well. But, as much as I love 5, it's got a lot of major issues, unfortunately. I golf 4 to 5 times a week. I want to come home from my golf course and game for 3 or 4 hours at the story, then go to bed to pick it back up, huh? Who owns a golf course? Is that what Kit Mode said? Necessarily owns it. I want to come home from my golf course. Only means he owns a golf course. Snake Eaters is produced for the win. I think that Snake Eater is, the most perfect game in that franchise. And God, what a game it is. And again, 1, for being as simple as it was also, in my opinion, quite perfect. 2 had some issues with the control scheme, I feel like, that made it kind of hard to, play. Had some really annoying mini-games in it. And 4, for me, was just not enough gameplay. Too many fucking cutscenes per minute of gameplay. And the gameplay itself wasn't as solid for me as it was in other games. And 5, I felt, was much more gameplay focused and was really great in that respect. Kind of returns to MGS 3 in terms of it being totally gameplay focused. But the pace of it and the story especially sort of kind of faltered. You can kind of tell that they were sort of it was made under duress. Didn't really have all the resources it really needed to come out, out of the oven fully cooked. 4 was really bad to me. I can't believe I liked the game back in the aughts, says Shiva Jones. The game was one of the games that was one of my early experiences with...
Hey, that building's got something on top I'd call dome-like.
Yeah, for sure. Come on, kid. Yeah, the game came out to rave reviews, and it's an early experience I had where I was like, what are you guys on? Did we play the same game? This game was fucking butt cheeks. What are you talking about? People still to this very day swear that it's an excellent game. But to me, it was, man, it's like, did you guys not play Metal Gear Solid 3 or something? The stealth was really dumbed down. Doesn't that game only have, 2 stealth missions in it? What? There's, the game had 4 missions. 2 of them were stealth. 1 was, a robot shooting gallery. And the other one was, a fucking puzzle game where you had remember you had to, walk a bunch of streets? And, navigate to find a spot? It was what the fuck? That's some weird-ass shit. What's up, Mixerved? Have you played Hollow Knight at all? I have not, Mixerved. I've heard it's a great game, though. Hit my tee shot on hole 8, right down the center, huh? 6 foot in front of the green. Going up my short chip. This guy on 7 shanks a line drive stinger into my shin. He walks up to me and apologizes. My bad, bro. That was a bad shot. Me says, not shit. Where's the 4? It's supposed to say 4. I think it's where I'm supposed to be.
Distribution center.
In Boston, we'd line up for blocks. And the food sucked.
I'd go crazy.
As some people did. Come on, let's find a way in.
This game is, this environment is hella dense so far. It's almost like, how could you even ride a horse through this environment? I mean, probably the horse is probably more useful once you've explored it and you've kind of checked off a bunch of spots on your map. I kind of feel like even walking on foot, it's very easy to walk past something you want to find because there's so much going on, which is awesome. I love that in the game, right? We have a really dense open world. There's the music shop. Okay, so I was here before. Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. The lore is great and the gameplay is great if you like Metroidvania games. What do you guys think about... so I've watched my friends play the game before, Mixer. Not extensively, but a little bit. I kind of feel like it'd be kind of hard to navigate because the environment is kind of samey looking. But that being said, it's true of Metroid games as well. So, Metroid games and Castlevania, so that's probably totally off base about that. It's probably one of those things that probably gets easier if you play it yourself than just watching it, right? Can I smash this window? Oh, I can. I was considering suggesting Hollow Knight to Vencabot, but I can see him getting lost, confused, and annoyed, huh? I like Metroidvania games. Oh, I should have probably run.
Careful.
Haven't played Hollow Knight yet, but I have it, says Shiva Jones. I think I might have it too. The guy now has his picture on the Beware wall of errant golfers at my club. Dude, fuck this dude. Hey, we're fucking climbing up, dude. Yeah, I'm sorry, kid, but I'm a very fast talker. I loved Hollow Knight, and hearing Venka shit on it would be lame. Well, that's tough when I play a game people love, and I'm sitting here like, ooh, this game is butt cheeks. Ooh. But I love you, Vencabot. Why can't we love the same things? I want to hear you talk about how great it is, so we can bond over this. Why can't you be such a dick about this, man? I love sitting around and talking about how great games are with my friends. And it sucks when we don't have the same taste, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Hello.
Yeah, but Hollow Knight, I don't know. Again, I've never played it. I have no reason to think I wouldn't like it. So it's definitely up my alley in terms of genre. But I watched my friends play it. I kind of feel like it looks kind of samey, like room to room. But that's true of Metroid as well. I always had no problem finding my way around in those games, so probably just a non-issue. Alex don't do drugs, huh? So neither does Venka. Good night, Nathan. Saw some logs, dude. Saw hella logs. Count some sheep. Saw some logs. You know, all that stuff. Maybe even saw some sheep. Count some logs. Try mixing it up a little bit. I would say that's true. At first, getting turned around happens a lot, but as you progress, you get the hang of it. Yeah, I'm sure it's part of it. Also, I'm sure that the map is probably pretty effective.
Okay, I think that's everything here.
Okie dokie. So that's where it wants me to go, which means that's the last place I want to go. Saw some sheep, J-Bomb. Saw them up. Into fucking little sheep cutlets or whatever. I wish there was a day-night cycle, guys. Not because it'd be more realistic, but because I kind of like when games have... If you're going to be stuck in the same area for many, many hours, just the change in like visual aesthetic can go a long way to making it more like fun to play, you know what I mean? Like I've been here for a long time, it'd be cool if things started to look a little bit different. I have a friend who writes comics and was a film major in college, huh? Very critical of movies, says Shiva Jones. Yeah, I totally can appreciate that, right? It's a curse, too. It's a curse, right? That's why it's important to like what you like and not let some dumbass on Twitch tell you to not like it. Because liking things is fucking cool. That's what you want. You don't want to dislike things. That's ass. But I also have made the argument before that we have to be critical of what we consume because we want better things all the time, right? We want better things all the time. And as in a consumer culture, in a culture of, a capitalist society where we're paying for what we're getting, I think that it's a sin to take what you get and celebrate it and not demand more for your money every year, every day, right? I think that it's our job as consumers to say, hey, listen, this was great and I had fun with this game, but maybe next time you can do better on this and make this better and improve this, and And I think that's part of the reason why I sort of push back against critics, or let's just say, consumers who celebrate certain franchises or certain games or certain developers maybe a little bit too much. Not because it's wrong to like things, but there's a lot of white knighting going on sometimes. And I feel like, people sort of have I think you guys wouldn't disagree that there's a certain, let's say, capitalist inclination. You buy something for $60. You save up your money. You're working your ass off. You save your money. You buy a game for $60, right? And you enjoy it. That's awesome. Then somebody online says, dude, I didn't enjoy this game, right? For me, this didn't work. For me, that didn't work. I think that, honestly, there is definitely this... We've seen historically, for sure, that there is an inclination to push back because you spent money on this thing, and now you have to justify your purchase. That's why we see the console wars. That's why we see fanboyism. That's why somebody that owns a PS4 has to hate on Xbox owners and vice versa. Right? It's because you invested into this ecosystem, and now if it turns out that PS4 is inferior to Xbox One, that means that you just wasted $400. So of course you could never accept that Xbox One is superior to PS4 or vice versa. You have to kind of push back, and you have to sort of, defend your console. And that's, I think, totally the wrong way to think, right? I think that you'd really have to, when you buy something, you got to be critical of that thing that you just bought. And you got to, again, I'm not saying that you should hate it, but you have to, you don't want to be the guy that, again, white knights for someone who's selling you something. Like, you don't want to white knight for Sony or for Microsoft or for Nintendo. As a consumer, I mean, they're the enemy. I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't want to fucking pussyfoot around this shit, right? If you love Nintendo, that's great. If you love all their games, awesome. I love that too. I love that you have this passion. That's great to me. But at the end of the day, you to them are, they're a multi-million-dollar corporation. You're just some schmuck who they're selling games to. It's their job to give you as little as possible and charge you as much as possible. That's literally how they make their money. And as consumers, we're constantly at war with these sorts of people. We want more for less money. They want to give us less for more money. And so, I think that if you love Nintendo games, that's awesome. And that's great. And I'm sure they're all really great games, too. Like they're very well-reviewed games for good reason, if you ask me. They're great. But let's not overly romanticize a game publisher, right? Let's not, deify them or idolize them. Let's not put them on a pedestal. Let's appreciate them for what they are, which is, they're developers, they're artists. They're doing their best to make a good game, hopefully. And they've done well by us so far. But we still got to be critical. We still got to be careful. We still got to make sure that we're not falling in love with a brand. Because at the end of the day, the brand is just a brand. And again, the brands are out there trying to get our goat, man, for sure. That's what I'm saying, Tyler. 60 FPS minimum, dude, for sure. I remember saying I can love a game and think of it objectively stinks, says Shiva Jones. Yeah, same here, man. I love some games as well that are not great games. And likewise, there are some games that I hate that I know are good games. What's up, Matt Jokes? It's all too easy to take an attack on something you enjoy as being an attack on you personally. That's true, Jim. Yeah, because you become part of it personally. You're invested in it. Sometimes, literally. Xbox, like, Xcox, am I right? PS Power. Sony Master Race. The brand cares about me, huh? Brand said so on their social media. That's true, too. Xbox Series X is better than PS5. Source, I have both. But PC is where it's at, says Tyler, huh? Finka, please, just let me hype beast in peace. I'm sorry, Robin, I can't, dude. No hype beasting allowed. Never heard that term before, Robin. That is amazing, though. Hype beast, when you just totally beast out over some hype. Oh, can I go inside here?
I've never seen one of these in action.
Yikes.
Look at that glowing goodie right
This guy's
there.
had a bad day.
What is it?
That's amazing.
Skeletons.
The lighting engine's all fucked up.
Not how I'd want to go out.
Yeah, so I want to reiterate here, guys. Isn't that cool how I can find a tank and then a little cutscene plays out? It's not part of the main story per se. I could have skipped it, but it's still there to reward me for finding it.
Kind of like those astronauts.
Just a little mini cutscene, not much,
What are you
but
talking about?
better than nothing.
One of the early moon missions, there was an electrical fire and the astronauts burned up in their capsule.
Well, at least they died for something worthwhile.
Exactly. These guys were just assholes killed by other assholes.
Foreshadowing. Welcome, Gravity Horse. Yeah, couldn't agree more on this topic. Yeah, I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. That's why my point. I kind of got a little sidetracked there. My point is that there's a fine balance to strike, right? Me and J-Bomb first met. We talked about this a lot, right? It's great to love things, and hating on things all the time is ass, right? You gotta make sure you're not one of those people that's impossible to please. You gotta love what you love and love it passionately, and not just sit here and hate on everything all the time and be a douche about it. But it's a balance to strike between, like, being open to loving something and, being unwilling to look at its negatives and its flaws. And I think, like I said, as consumers, it's part of our job to take what we buy and take what we love and say, this is great. I hope the next one's better. Right? This is great and everything. But now that we've had this experience, especially in like game design, right? Now we've had this experience. Now we've played, let's say Uncharted 3, right? We played Uncharted 3. We loved it. But what did we not love about it? Well, there was this aspect of it that I didn't really care for as much. If there's going to make an Uncharted 4, and it's theoretically, back in the day, if they were to make an Uncharted 4, what would I do differently to improve upon it for me personally? Right? What would it make it a better experience for me? And I think that, to be critical of a game and to be verbal and vocal about what you dislike about it, that's not a crime. Whether you love that game or you hate that game, right? Anyway, guys, sorry for going a little bit on a tirade there. Fake news, says Tyler. Hype beasts are like what they call sneakerheads, like the ones who always buy brands because they're brands like Jordans, huh? I love the term hype beast because it implies, having the mind of a beast. That's hype to me. Hype beasting already is like when you're so rabid over a brand that you just totally flip out when a new trailer comes out or something like that, right? Dude, just let me hype beast on, all right? Fucking just let me have this, all right? I don't want to fucking... Life is hard enough as it is. I don't want to fucking be critical of everything. Can I just fucking lose my mind for a second and just go beast mode? Can I just surrender myself to the fucking urges? I urge to fucking get excited about fucking consumer products. Can I smash this window? Oh my god. They tried to do Kojima so dirty, but Naughty Dog is so great, says Shiva Jones. I'm confused about what the connection is. They can't do stealth or enemy AI as well as he did, but someone cry for their dead comrades is groundbreaking. Huh? MGS never did that, apparently. Well, we did have the Sorrow. That was kind of cool. Look at the sub, Nick served. You guys remember the Sorrow? Me and my friend Mackenzie, Here Goes Nothing, we're talking recently about who would you main in a Metal Gear Solid fighting game? A Metal Gear Solid 3 fighting game. I think I would main the Pain, dude. I want to shoot out bees. So many Nintendo fans remind me of that, or at least the more vocal fans. Yeah, that's true for every console. I think that Nintendo sort of has like a sort of a religious following around them. And to be fair, I think that Nintendo as a publisher and manufacturer, they have been more faithful to their fans than many other publishers have. I mean, Nintendo games tend to be pretty solid, if not necessarily, let's say, innovative, then at least consistent. But yeah, it's a drag, man. It's a drag. Can I climb up on here? I cannot. I'd be the boss, man. Huh? Did you see that? I think you follow me on Twitter, right, Shiva Jones? Did you see that cool sprite work that somebody did? Basically, so this whole conversation comes about because I saw this awesome sprite work someone created of like hypothetical Metal Gear Solid 3 fighting game. And they had the boss versus Naked Snake, and the boss's design was so cool. Nintendo has the best party games, as Tyler, huh? Well, that goes without saying. I mean, party games have, ironically, for being such a, let's say, an obvious win for the casual market, they're not very popular. You guys notice that? Who makes party games? There's not really that many of them. So I kind of feel like I might be hitting the edge of this map. Let's look at my map here. I feel like I can't get any further. I mean, there's the fucking Jack in the Box party pack, and there's Nintendo shit, right? I got you, Shiva Jones, yeah. Yeah, I retweeted this thing. It's a pretty cool looking... It kind of looks like Third Strike sprite work a little bit. And it's the boss versus Naked Snake, and the boss's design was so cool. That's where they want me to go over there, the big dome. And that means I don't want to go there if I can help it. But I still need gas. I'm sure once I get gas, maybe they'll open up more of the map. No, Tyler. What really got me was when Bungie released the first Destiny game. They released a partial game for $60, and then would charge for any DLC that made the game complete. That really bothered me, says McServed. Well, why do you think it bothered you, McServed? Let's talk about that a little bit, too. Let's converse. I think that, it's fair to demand value from games, right? You gotta demand value. And we've seen the erosion of value in gaming, especially when it comes to DLC, a lot. I have some friends that are very much anti-DLC, and I can't say for sure that I'm necessarily always anti-DLC. I think that DLC as a premise doesn't really bother me, theoretically. The way that it's used, the way it's been exercised historically, has oftentimes bothered me. But I think that as an idea, it doesn't necessarily rub me the wrong way. I think it's not necessarily an evil thing. If you sell the game for full price, $60, and then sell content to make it complete, that's ass. If you sell the game for $60 and it is complete, and then you add more to the top of it and charge for it, sometimes there are gamers that would be very happy to pay for that. I don't think it's necessarily a wrong thing either. Sometimes you want more of a game you love, and DLC can be a way to provide that in a way that it works out well for both consumer and for the So I can't go back in there again, looks like. I think it's where I was before. And for the publisher. But there's a very fine line, right? Between at what point is a game selling auxiliary content, and at what point is it selling an experience that should have been in the main game? It might vary from person to person, perhaps. In the Metal Gear Solid fighting game, I would main Snake because he would have codec cancels and could chain combos together, huh? The codec cancels? Cancel normal into codec and then cancel codec into special? I've thought a lot about MGS fighting games as Robib, huh? Wow. Maybe we should work on it. Codec as a stance that you can cancel into normals to continue combos, huh? I like the free DLC season buy-in model. Hey, Furby! We're being nerds over here, Furby, talking about game design and game marketing practices and, you know, gaming economies. And we're really having a good old sit down and chat sort of a streaming experience while I wander around aimlessly through the same environment over and over again. DLC is great when used correctly, huh? There's no doubt about it. But at some point it becomes almost pay to play when you have already done that by purchasing the game. That's true, guys. In fact, here's what I will say, Mixerved. I argued not 5 minutes ago that I'm not necessarily anti-DLC. But you know what I am, though, I think? I think I'm pretty confident that I'm anti-games as a service. I don't think that could be done in any way that would make me happy. I think that games as a service is truly an evil institution, and that we need to get the fuck away from that ASAP. It's very anti-consumer. It sucks for games preservation. It's just the worst. It's super ass. This game is pretty, but lacking in storyline a bit, says Furby, huh? You haven't got that far. Have you played it before, Furby? I never played it until now. And, man, this area sure is fucking pretty. Oh, my God. Oh, my God! Oh, look at the shadows. Ooh, look at how her eyes adjust to the darkness. See that? Turn the camera, and at first it was really dark, and then it kind of lightened up. Oh, that's sick. But so far it's been really dense with the story. And we're finally at a part of the game where the story is less dense. I'm fucking glad, to be honest. Is it bad for a game to be conceived up with the DLC in mind? It seems a bit self-serving, right? How could you even know if there was enough content released at launch? Well, I mean, what is enough content, right? What is enough content? I don't think it's necessarily wrong to conceive DLC at launch, or even before launch, to say, you know, we're going to sell this as the main game and then sell this as DLC. I think that... Also, how about this guy? Here's another argument, right, that factors into all this. And that is... the $60 price point for a game, right? What do you guys think about the fact that you have a $40 game, then $20 worth of DLC? Is it then wrong to sell the DLC to complete the game if it adds up to the price of a full game? What if they sell the game for $60, then sell you a season pass for $20? Is that wrong when you consider that next year we're going to see games $80, you know, at a minimum, right? Due to inflation. And the fact that we've seen consumer trends, you know, gamers are more willing to spend $60 than ever before. Therefore, the free market dictates that we have to toe into the water of, can we sell a game for $65? Can we sell it for $70? Can we sell it for $90? Right? At what point will gamers stop buying this fucking shit? Right? Again, as publishers, as retailers, it's our job, by the very nature of capitalism, to see how far we can push this before people start to stop buying it. Right? Like, I kind of feel like it's kind of a tough line to toe when you say, I bought the game for $60. I don't want to spend $20 for more of the same game. What if that completes the experience? What if the game was just worth $80? All right, what if the game was $80 worth of game anyway? I mean, is that wrong? I don't know. It's really, again, it really does vary from game to game, right? It's a really hard question to answer. I think that, you know, whatever is true is just that. I think we can all agree. Whenever you buy a game from Capcom Space Ducks, right? You buy a game from Capcom, they fuck you over on the DLC. Just don't buy their next game. Buy it used. Wait to buy it at, you know, half off or whatever. Have you guys noticed that in gaming culture, especially, maybe even compared to other hobbies out there, there is so much goddamn brand worship and so much I guess you would call it hype, that people will play game X, let's call it, I don't know, Street Fighter 5. And they'll hate it. This game was fucking ass, man. Capcom really put their whole penis into my tiny little asshole and expanded it to 3 times its natural size. Right? I paid $60 for this game, and the game at launch especially was fucking garbage. They sold me all the season passes that were all ass. Right? God, this game is fucking terrible. I can't wait to buy Street Fighter 6. I can't fucking wait to buy it because Street Fighter 5 was so ass. I hated 5 so much. I cannot wait to buy 6 at launch. In fact, I'm not even gonna fucking wait. I'm gonna pre-order that shit immediately. I won't even wait to hear the first review from the game. As soon as they have the first trailer, I'm gonna go all nuts on social media about it and tweet for days about how much I can't wait for Street Fighter 6. Because 5 was so ass. Right? What a huge relief that Capcom's gonna release Street Fighter 6 finally. And we can stop playing this terrible game that they also released. And I spent the last 10 years bitching about. I cannot wait to lose my mind over how hype Street Fighter 6 is going to be. Like, isn't that fucking weird? Isn't the note, says Tyler, huh? Also, can we sell more games if they are at 50 or 40 new? That's true as well, Robib. GameStop's market is actually gamer animus. I don't think I've played a single game that I would be willing to pay $80 for. Most of my favorite games I have paid 10 or 20 bucks for. That being said, I usually buy games used and or on sale. Mixer, you're a very smart person. Can we all take a moment to clap it up for our friend Mixer in the chat? What a guy. And what I mean by that is, I think it's kind of embarrassing for our culture, right? As gamers, let's say our consumer culture, right? As consumers of video games, right? Isn't it kind of embarrassing that we can't wait 3 months to buy a game half off? Games lose their value so fast. And yet people out here pre-ordering shit, they don't even hear the first review for the game, they pre-order it. They buy it, they're like, this game was fucking dookie, man. Wow, this game kind of sucks. Or how about this, guys? You guys like the fact that before a game comes out, you hear about it for fucking 4 months on Twitter, non-stop, how good it's going to be? And then the game comes out, and even if it's not universally shat upon, let's say the game is actually good, right? I mean, Cyberpunk, Tyler, it's a game that was universally shat on. Let's say the game is actually decent. Here's my example, right? How about Resident Evil Village, right? Resident Evil Village. This is a game that we heard about non-stop on Twitter for months and months and months before it came out. The game launches, you hear about it for 4 days, and you never hear about it again. Right? Isn't that fucking weird? We're still out here talking about Ocarina of Time. We're talking about Metal Gear Solid 3. We're talking about this game and that game. All-time classics, right? Is Resident Evil Village going to be an all-time classic? Maybe. Time will tell. Can I go through here? Maybe. It could be.
Check out those stained glass
But I
windows.
think that it is sort of
I
embarrassing
don't see many of those.
that when we play a game and have feelings about it, whether they're good or bad feelings, right? As someone that myself that sort of, thinks of himself as like a games critic of sorts, I love seeing on social media, guys, your guys' feelings on games. I love when you guys say, I love this game because of this, or I didn't like this in this game, right? I love seeing that kind of stuff, but you never see that. You know what you see instead? The pre-release hype. All the hype about this game because of its franchise, because of its publisher, because of its graphics, because of its trailer, all these things that people can't shut up about on social media. And then when the game comes out, silence. You never hear about it again. Right? Doesn't that seem backwards? Shouldn't you have much more to say about the game after it comes out? No, because we live in a culture where we're much more excited about the hype and the pre-release than we even are about the product itself. We'd rather, become a part of this marketing machine than actually discuss what makes the game itself actually good or bad. Right? That just seems weird.
Distribution.
Hey, fuel.
Here we go.
Let's fucking go.
Secured the shit out of this place.
Boston always had food shortages. Hungry people get desperate.
So, again, shout out to McServe, guys. Shout out to McServe. This man waits for games to go on sale. He buys them. He enjoys them. Right? You know how you're fucking buying games, pre-ordering games fucking 4 months in advance for full price just to get some fucking launch DLC? Read it. Private Miller, we got fresh intel. There's an active WLF hideout on Spring and 5th. Grab any available soldiers in your sector and head to the hideout ASAP. Execute any suspects, secure the location, and await my arrival. Sergeant Ward. Shiva says here, when Mika starts preaching and something he says applies to you, oh no, Shiva Jones. Venka, we are once again asking to let us hype beast in peace. That vacuum moves quick these days, huh? Here today, gone tomorrow. We live in a great time for gamers, guys. Insofar as we have so many games competing for our attention, we have, I mean, between indies and AAA games and all these other games in between, we have a huge slew of games that we can play at any price point and love or hate. This is a crazy time for gamers. We have so much access to games, it's ridiculous. It's rough out here for some of these developers and these publishers to make a mark. That means that as consumers, we're in a pretty good position to be more critical and to be more demanding of what we spend our money on. But oftentimes we aren't. We're very easily seduced by, again, a fancy logo, a teaser trailer, a voice actor, suddenly fucking, Luke Skywalker is back or whatever. Sonic got a new game coming out. Whatever it might end up being. Sometimes, that's all that it takes, and that's kind of a shame. The last game I pre-ordered was Game Spore, says Mixer. Now, that sounds like a tough lesson to have learned. I've heard some people say that Spore is sort of underrated. Not because it could ever have lived up to the hype that it had before launch, but just because once you have your expectations more in check, it's actually not that bad of a game. I never played it myself, though. Do you think the velocity of all possible players for video games' lifespan are now too heavily skewed and everybody plays at the beginning and then it dies off like a big bang? Robib, not only is that true, but it's all a fucking conspiracy. It's all part of the game industry's evil plan. Okay? I'm gonna sound like a fucking tinfoil hat kind of a guy here. But let's take a moment to appreciate that we have access at this very moment to tens of thousands of games, many of which are excellent, many of which would blow our minds to play. I could go back to the year 1993, guys, and play a game that I never played on SNES and have it blow my mind with how good it is. I could play a game from the PS3 era, not even that long ago, and have my mind blown by how good it is. But those are games that are not making any money for Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo if I were to buy them right now. Right? So that does them no good if I buy those games. So the industry would like nothing more for us as consumers to immediately forget any game that comes out. They want us to buy it, play it, and never think of it again. That way they can sell us the next game next year. And they love that our culture has been, conditioned to be more excited about games that are new than about games that are good. I mean, we're not excited because games are good. We're excited because games are new. And that serves them well as retailers because they make the most money on new games. Right? It does not do them any good to make a legendary game. They don't want to make a game that stands the test of time. They don't want to make a game that we can play for years and years and years and maybe even decades. They're not actually trying to make the next fucking Metal Gear Solid 3 or the next Ocarina of Time or the next, whatever. They don't give a fuck about making a game like that. In a perfect world, they would, right? Because we as consumers, we demand games like that. Games that are, time-proven works of genius. But what they want is a game that they can sell to us, that we play until the next game comes out. Then we buy their next game, right? Shoot it. Blast it. All right, well, okay. Oh. What a pointless fucking lock.
All right, I got you.
Hey. You guys hear something?
Shh. Stay low.
They're outdoors. Outdoors infected. What's up, Birdrinka? Forbay wants Breath of the Wild 2, damn it, huh? Rest in peace. I think it's gonna come out soon, right, Forbay? Hellblade's pretty tight, says Birdrinka. You talking about Senshua's Sacrifice? I bought Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, Bloodstained, and Hellblade at full price day one. Researched all games and wanted to support the developers, and I love all of them, says Shiva Jones. Yeah, if you're fucking trying to support art, that's cool to me. If you're truly a patron of the arts, then that's awesome. I'm myself a creator that would not be able to eat if not from all my patrons. Like you guys. You'll get him, Dina. But again, I think that's pretty rare in this industry, that consumers are that way. There's more guys around. Got tall grass,
Nice
thankfully.
and quiet.
But do you think that perfect timeless games are also always created in some sort of unrealistic conditions? Like the terms of being able to make them at all is ridiculous. Not necessarily. I think it's just that old games are really not profitable. It's mostly a PR piece. What was that Xbox stat about backwards compatibility? Something like 0.1% of hours played were in this thing that definitely required more than 0.1% hours of development. That's true. But again, I think that's more of a failure of, a failure that reflects more on consumers, let's say, closed-mindedness regarding older titles, Coolahan. That's kind of my point, right? My point is that people should care more about backwards compatibility. I think it's, if you release a console that's not backwards compatible, I understand, part of why that is. And again, I truly believe part of that is obviously because as a publisher, as a manufacturer, as somebody involved in the industry, you have negative incentive for players to be able to play old games. You wish that they wouldn't, to be honest. But if it were profitable, if that was a major console selling point, then you would do that, right? Cool. Your job is to make money. If gamers demanded backwards compatibility because they want to play old games and they wouldn't buy your console without it, then yeah, put it on there for sure. But if you say that 0.1% of hours spent on your console is in that mode because people are only playing new games, then I believe that too. But I think that that's not a good reason to not have that feature, again, except for speaking in terms of capitalism. But it reflects poorly on gamers because, again, I've seen that they're unwilling to explore backwards in time. Right? Because they've been conditioned. That's what I think. They've been conditioned by the marketing hype of all these different platforms to only look forward and never look back. Play with headphones for Drinka, huh? So we can hear where all the bad guys are at? Oh, you mean Hellblade. Sensuous sacrifice. Needing to sell X copies, etc., to be able to make another game, huh? It's like, by definition, almost all games ever created were done in that same framework of wanting to make a return. Like 3 had expectations, MGS3 had expectations before it was created, and still a masterpiece was created. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the subtleties of what your point is, Robib, to be honest. Not gonna lie, but I'm sure you're right. But I also think that, sometimes games that are all-time masterpieces are that way because they were created by, very informed and considerate developers, whether they're programmers or game designers or graphic designers or sound designers, that you might find oftentimes that you can make an excellent game with a smaller team and with less of a budget if your team actually is, truly inspired and not just hire-ons that don't give a fuck. I'm not saying that a staff that's less motivated couldn't also make a legendary game. Might take more of them. Might take a bigger budget. But I would push back against the notion that a game needs more time and a higher budget to be a better game. I think that if you look at some of the great games in history, that would definitely end up not being the case. It's got great sound designs, Bertrinka, and Sensuous Sacrifice. I remember reading about that when it came out. I never played it myself. It's because most people use the new console to play Warzone, so yeah, says Tyler. Yeah. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised to hear that backwards compatibility, despite people talking about, oh, I need it so bad, oh, make sure your console has it. I'm not surprised to hear that they don't actually use it. But I do think that, oh, look, there's some shit here. I do think that for me it's important that it has it, because I love old games. And I love, when a console is open to its legacy. Right? I love that PS5 can play PS4 games because I love that, I can have a PS5 hooked up and not have to worry about have a PS4 hooked up anymore. I like that I can have this console that has, on launch, access to this great library of titles. Right? But like Coolahan says, that shit ain't free, especially not in terms of the hardware. Oftentimes, almost never is backwards compatibility done in software, especially when you're talking about like previous console. It's almost always done in hardware. It basically has like a baby PS4 or a baby PS3 inside there, whatever the case might be. And that shit ain't free. So, do you want to charge every consumer, $60 more, $80 more for the console just to please those that demand backwards compatibility? I can see how it could be a tough issue for some manufacturers. We're complaining that games are no longer good because they are created to make money. No, I'm not making that point at all. But by definition, so were the timeless games we love. They were made with an exception to make a return. No. Expectation. No, I'm not saying that games are bad because they're made to make money. Right? I'm just saying that, we haven't really talked that much about bad games, to be honest. I'm just saying that games are oftentimes bad in general. And that, my complaint has been that whether a game is good or bad or not has no influence on how much it sells in many cases. That's my problem. Right? I think that we live in a culture where a game is hyped up to all fuck on social media, and then people pre-order it to fuck, then they buy it and they hate it, and then they buy the very next game from that same manufacturer, the same way, the same publisher, right? Capcom can put out a really shitty game, and then people will buy it and hate it, and then they'll still pre-order the next game Capcom puts out. That's what I find annoying. I'm not saying that games are bad because they're made to make money. I mean, every piece of art is unfortunately made to make money, and most of the time that's just the world we live in. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be bad. It means that it might have less incentive to be good if you don't care about making it good. All you want to do is make money. I mean, oftentimes, Cool Hand in the past has been in my chat, argued, as someone that's been involved in the game industry, that no one sets out to make a bad game. No one's goal is to make a bad game. In fact, whenever you sit down to make a game, you're trying to make it a really good game. And theoretically, ideally, you would want to make the best game possible because that has the highest chance possible of selling, right? And your goal is to make money. But I think that oftentimes people will spend money on a game and buy a game for reasons that are kind of disassociated with whether or not it's actually good, to play, fun. I also bought Nier Automata at full price. Love that too, says Steve Jones. Everything else in my lobby purchased at discounted prices, huh? I find that a lot of great games come from single developers. Games like Stardew Valley, Braid, Super Meat Boy. I think as I play and can appreciate the time, effort, and artistic ability that goes into making a game more so than if they were made by a large studio. Yeah, I think that large studios can make great games too. I think that oftentimes they don't because, like I said, I think that whether or not a game is good is unfortunately not a major factor in its sales. And when I say good, I mean actually great. Let me put it that way. I think that a lot of publishers, they have a bare minimum checklist of what needs to be there to make the game decent. And they're quite happy to reach those milestones, those check marks. And then once they have them, they're like, okay, ship it. Instead of being truly motivated to make a truly exceptional game, a really inspired game. Yeah, it's not because they're made to make money. Rather, it's oftentimes I feel because one of their biggest motivations is to make money, where perhaps it would be nice if they were, to some extent motivated by an actual love for, the art form of game design. It would be great if we had more games come out that were made by directors and creators that were I have an idea for a game that I think is going to be really fun. Let's make this game that's going to, blow people's minds. Instead of making a game that's let's make a game that, is in this franchise. All right, we'll make a game in this franchise that's going to make us money for sure. Every game is out there to make money. That's why they're made, is to make money. That doesn't mean they can't be good. It does mean that, that's already one reason to make the game that isn't, let's make a good game. So then we're being critical on the framing that video game pushers are more focused on making money off games by getting players to continually buy new and new ones, yes, as opposed to try to make a library of games their selling point. I think, my point is that as a consumer, as someone that wants to play every year a new game that blows my mind, I would much prefer that when a game come out, it be made with a sincere passion for creating a game that will be legendary for decades. A true masterpiece. And I think that a lot of the time, that is not the attitude that goes into making a game. And even when it is the attitude that goes into making a game, I think that unfortunately in our industry, we see that because consumers are very willing to buy games that are not necessarily amazing, they'll buy them full price, they'll even pre-order them before they even come out. Is that a clicker? I think the thing is animated there. Yeah, it's a still clicker. That's a new one for us. Oh shit. Excuse me. Because gamers are not that hard to impress in terms of what they're going to buy for full price, I think that oftentimes developers are not that critical of themselves. They don't oftentimes ask themselves, Has this been done better in the past? Could I learn a lesson from my forebears? Could I go back and play this game and say, is my game better than this, or could I do this? Should I do it the way that I conceived originally, or should I try something that's it's been honed through the ages? Should I take a lesson from this developer, this game, and apply it to my game? Perhaps this idea I'm really excited about is actually not that much fun in practice. I think that game design as a whole suffers in our modern era for two reasons. And like I said, one is that games are, oh my lord. Can I jump back over this wall? No, I cannot. Games are sold with a primary motive of making money, and a motive might not even be to make a good game, or let's say an exceptional game. The other reason is that because consumers are so easy to impress, perhaps, oh my god. I gotta get to this fucking, I think I gotta get to this fucking log thing. Oh my god. Well, I've got like Molotovs. I could throw like a Molotov. I think it's gonna make this a sound like he's gonna see me. I don't think he will. That sound means he's looking toward me, I think. I don't think it means I'm necessarily gonna get seen by him. Oh, I was wrong. I was wrong. That was a lucky shot. Gotta kill the clickers. Oh no. Run, 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 run. Run, run, run. Run backwards. Run. Knees. Knees. I'm empty. Run. No. Dina. Oh, Dina, no. She's hurt. Oh, no, it's not good. Dina, help me. Don't let him get me, Dina. Oh, no. I have an axe. I also have a shotgun with some ammo in it. Let's get the shotgun out. Kaboom! Oh! Oh, the brick! Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Sorry, guys. I'll catch up with you guys here. I got sidetracked. Marketing sells most games, Neon. Indeed, sir. Indeed. And I think it would be nice, Neon.
I don't get it.
If
there were still people
honestly,
around,
marketing's gonna always be effective for getting people excited about games. But it would be nice though if what sold a game was like how good it was. Insofar, at least like if people could play a demo for a game before they bought it, that'd be nice. If they could wait to hear some reviews for the game, at the bare minimum, that'd be nice. But I think that it would be, I don't know, guys. I think that it would be foolish, personally, I feel, for anyone to argue that a pre-order culture is anything but anti-consumer, right? I mean, there's a small argument to be made for, let's say, Kickstarters, for buying games that are in alpha state, right? Or like beta state, right? That's not unusual these days to buy a game that's like, on some what's what I'm looking for? What do they call it thing on Steam? You buy a game for it actually is totally finished. Whatever you call it. There's an argument to be made if you're a patron of the arts, if you're trying to support a developer, if you want to be a part of the team that gets this game released, then whatever. Okay, I understand that. And of course, I would be remiss to not point out that, early access, thank you, Pedrinka. I'd be remiss to not point out that for the AAA industry, for these bigger titles, pre-ordering is exactly that. Pre-ordering, it helps with the game's development. It helps with it being, published. It helps in a lot of ways. But when you're out here buying games, or let's say anything, let's say you could pre-order, I don't know, like a car or whatever, right? Whenever you pre-order something long before you have any idea if it's going to be any good or not, that's just not a great look, man. It's just not a great look. Right? You have to, you can't live in a society where you gotta pay for it before you get it in your hand. And again, of course, unfortunately, we live in a world where we can't always choose, right? In the real world, we can't always choose whether or not, we're able to necessarily get what we pay for. There's a lot of factors that play into, the way that people are oppressed financially speaking, right? People are oppressed financially for sure in this world. But when it comes to something like recreation, like gaming, like video games, dude, why is it that we should have come to expect as a culture to give somebody our money and then not demand to get something back immediately? Like, how about we simplify this whole fucking process? I give you the fucking money, you give me the game. Right? J-Bomb said, I pre-ordered Hades on PS4, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get my money's worth. Well, again, you could make the argument, J-Bomb, that you're trying to support the developer and you're a patron of the arts, right? You love what they've done with Hades, and if the game was ass, you probably wouldn't even regret it because you love the developer so much. But let's talk about how... I hear that argument a lot, J-Bomb, about, oh, you know, I pre-ordered this game and it's a developer I love a lot, and, you know, I'm sure it's going to be great. What if it comes out, man, it's not even playable? What if it comes out and it turns out, J-Bomb, that, you know, they didn't have time, they're working on Hades 2, so they had to, you know, let's say they had to outsource the PS4 development to another party, another company, which happens all the time. And PS4 version is the worst version by far. It runs at a shitty frame rate. It's virtually unplayable. It's buggy as hell. They don't have the resources to fix the bugs in a timely fashion. You know, it could end up being fucking terrible. And it may very well be, J-Bomb, that you're going to get your money's worth because you love, you know, Hades as a game and you would like to see them have the chance to, you know, grow as a company and make more. Look at the little firefly here, guys. You can see my face cam. But I'm not saying, I want to stress that even when you feel like it's a sure thing, then it's going to be a sure thing when the game launches anyway. It's going to be a sure thing a day after it launches. It'll be a sure thing 3 months after it launches. It'll be even more of a sure thing. Don't pre-order shit, guys. Just don't pre-order. No, let's not support this practice of pre-ordering games. Just buy it day 1 if you want to. Buy it day 3. Buy it when it goes on sale 2 months from now if you really want to save some money. But let's not pre-order games. That's fucking ridiculous to pre-order things. Yeah, for big games as a service, it's not my thing personally. I'm not huge on games as a service. Some indies are pump and dumps, Kyle. That's true too, man. Indies are not necessarily always innocent either. That'd be ideal, but what the industry seems to have learned over the years, just as with most other products, is that the brand name sells, so market it heavily, says Neon. That's true. I also want to stress, guys, that I totally understand when a publisher markets a game with millions of dollars. They're trying to make money. Okay? That's their function in a capitalist society. They're making some money. My problem is not with the publishers. My problem is with the consumers. Because the publishers are doing what they're supposed to do. Just try to take our money. That's their number one priority, is taking our money. My problem is with the fucking consumers that are so quick to, you know, forego their rights and to get pushed around by these publishers. This looks not like a great time, to be honest. This feels like an arena. Let's see here. Them and Devolver Digital, those guys just keep pumping out bangers. Yeah, Supergiant and Devolver are amazing publishers. I should say more women are getting into game development and being sexually harassed at Activision. That's true. The biggest thing about pre-order is pre-downloads, says Tyler. That way you can download it before the game is, like, you can have it available to play, like, at midnight or whatever. How about you just release the game for everybody at the same time? Do you think in a non-capitalist society the video games we play would be different? I'm not going to answer that question, Robbie. That's a hard question to answer, right? I mean, there are those that have done much more thinking than I have about society in a post-capitalist world. We might see, theoretically, that we have very little fucking, you know, leisure because we're also fixated on, you know, providing value to our society by way of, you know, non-capitalist means, blah, blah, blah. Perhaps it is because we live in a capitalist society that we're able to enjoy so much leisure. Probably, almost certainly not. But yeah, I couldn't tell you what life would be like outside. I've lived my whole life under capitalism, so I couldn't tell you what games would be like without that motivation to make money. It could just be that people are too busy farming and growing cucumbers in their backyard to even make games, for all I know. They'd be harder to buy without currency, says Jai-Bum. Exactly. Yeah, Robib's name is amazing. Robib. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that, you know, games should be made without the urge to make money, right? I think that, hypothetically speaking, that would be a huge relief to a lot of developers. It could be more daring that way. But, yeah, I'm not prepared to say the games would be better necessarily. I mean, there are those who would argue very reasonably that the urge to make games, like to sell games, is a major factor in why games are so good.
Hey, Ellie.
Yeah?
This place is a synagogue.
Talk to me, JRPG person.
How can you tell?
Exactly, how government wanted game development.
There are menorah decorations on the wall. It's a Jewish thing. And 2, I didn't burst into flames just now, so
Burst into flames?
it's just a dumb joke.
Oh, unlike your other ones.
You shut it.
Stab her, Dina.
This place brings back a lot of memories. My sister used to drag me to a synagogue all the time.
More
You
dialogue.
never struck me as much of a believer.
Nah, but I like coming from a long line of survivors.
You mean after Outbreak Day?
That, and the Inquisition, and the
So,
Holocaust. My family always made it out alive. Barely.
Joel lived most of his life before the apocalypse. And Ellie, at her age right now, probably around 20, 19-ish or whatever, probably lived her whole life post-apocalypse, right? So I'm kind of confused about the timeline. So Dina was dragged to a synagogue, like a synagogue in her ruined city. What's up, Dan Almighty? I'm winning, man. I'm fucking winning tonight. Getting some big smooch vibes. J-Bomb, I'm kind of disappointed with the number of smooches in this game. I was thinking that earlier, guys. I mentioned earlier that I think this game is doing way more for the romance angle than any game I've ever played before. I think that, for as much as I complain about the walking and talking mechanic in this sort of franchise, I think that what this game does well is that it endears me to Ellie and Dina's relationship. And we're expected as gamers to play a lot of these video games where there's a love interest and be like, she's the princess. You love her. Now go save her ass. Right? That sucks ass. Let's be real. I mean, you guys know me. I'm gameplay above story any day of the week, right? Any day of the week. Gameplay above story. So if you tell me, go save the princess, and that's a fun process for me, that's whatever, man. That's fine. But then don't act like it's a love story. And unfortunately, you know, I'm cracking jokes here with you guys, but let's be real. There are some games out there that have sort of positioned themselves as having like a romance, and they really just boil down to save the princess. And that's fucking whack. This game, which is billed as a very cinematic experience, and it's supposed to be more story-focused, and again, for me, that's whatever. I'm not really into the story that much. But what I will say is that probably more than any game I've played, they have put Ellie and Dina together and said, these two are partners. They play the game together. They're having discourse throughout the game. Dina is an assistant in combat. She helps me when I'm scouting, helps me find resources. And their relationship is endearing. You know, they are believable as friends.
Shit.
All right?
She's on the other side.
And so I'm getting back to my original point here that J-Bomb kind of brought up. They have a lesbian kiss, big smoocheroo, in the game's intro. And we have this hint very strongly in the beginning that there's a mutual crush going on, right? But I gotta say this. They have done well to endear me to these characters. So why is there not more smooching? Right? They're sort of, you know, maybe because they're, you know, diegetically, canonically, maybe they're not comfortable with that yet. But I kind of feel like, maybe it's just me because of my own experience with relationships. But I'm a sort of an affectionate guy. I don't want to fucking out myself here. I don't want you guys to imagine too much about your boy Vencabot here, off camera. But I kind of feel like if I was out here with my romantic partner, there would be more affection. And what we see here instead is that they're being very, you know, they have got some cute banter. And again, I believe in them as friends. But there is not that much, like, sexual tension between them. So they're sort of like, they're almost like they're not capitalizing. They're not really capitalizing on the fact that they have done better in this game to set up the romance than I've ever seen in another game. They've done an excellent job of making me believe these two, that they could have a romantic relationship. But they almost don't. We saw them, you know, have sex earlier, one time, and we saw them smooch. But I kind of feel like there's sort of this very chaste, very dry, sort of again, very platonic relationship between these two in actual gameplay. So yeah, much respect to the developers for actually, having a romantic relationship between the protagonists that actually seems to make sense. But I also kind of feel like they could do more to make it like a more romantic game, I guess, in that respect. They talk shit, says Tyler. Kind of realistic that way, yeah. Too much of a Chad, Robib, huh? Ellie's more Scott Pilgrim, right? I don't know. Brokeback Mountain style, says Dano. They probably smell pretty bad. Where's the last time they brushed their teeth? I don't know, Neon. I mentioned that earlier, right, about how if you're in an apocalypse, can you bone when there's zombies around? Maybe you could, if you grew up in that kind of culture. Venka is cringe, Robib, from a based Chad X. Ellie's still a young adult, too, says Robib. They didn't want to seem pandery and just have them les out all the time. Yeah, it could just be that, I haven't really played for that long, to be honest. Maybe I'm demanding too much from the romance. Maybe we'll have more scenes in the near future that make me believe in the romance more. But I guess the reason I'm frustrated is just that I am so impressed with how they've managed to actually create a partner character in a game that actually feel I could actually believe is a romantic interest, and when so few games have done that, and yet they seem so unwilling to take the next step and say, okay, well, yeah, they are in love. They're not just friends. They are also in love.